A week before the college entrance exam, I deliberately asked my parents to leave 50 rooms empty at our family hotel so my classmates could stay for free. Then the exam results came out, and our class monitor, Nora, did terribly. She got the whole class to spread rumors online claiming our hotel had deliberately done construction at midnight just to sabotage her score. The post went viral. The hotel was reported and shut down. My parents lost everything they had, and their hair turned gray, overnight. Throughout it all, not a single one of the 50 classmates who stayed at our hotel spoke up for us. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to 1 week before the exam. My parents were discussing, "Sweetheart, with the college entrance exams coming up, should we save a room for your classmates?" I put down my chopsticks. No need, not even one. My parents were stunned, but we're the only hotel nearby. The next closest one is over 5 kilometers away. I smiled. Perfect. One street ending. At the classroom door, I looked at those familiar faces inside, and a wave of nausea rose in my stomach. I remember it vividly. In my past life, not a single one of these people stepped forward to say a fair word when my family was being SL&D'd all over the internet and reported until our business shut down. Nora led the charge, posting online that our family's hotel was doing construction in the middle of the night, deliberately making noise just to ruin her chances of getting into college. Tens of thousands, ends of likes, tens of thousands, ends of retweets. The trending topic stayed up for 2 full days. My parents had never wronged anyone. They were just ordinary business people running their hotel honestly. For those 2 days, our hotel phones rang off the hook, all cancellations, and abuse. The Tourism Bureau sent people to investigate. The Housing Authority came to measure noise levels. Someone even showed up at the hotel entrance with a protest banner. Overnight, my father's hair turned mostly gray, and my mother cried so much she nearly lost her sight. In the end, the hotel was ordered to suspend operations for rectification. Between fines, refunds, and contract cancellations, our family's savings were wiped out. I pulled myself back from my thoughts and stepped into the classroom. The classroom was buzzing with noise, with students gathered in small groups discussing the college entrance exam. Some were checking answers, some were flipping through books, and others were talking about where they wanted to go after the exams were over. I walked to my seat, sat down, and hung my bag on the side of the desk. Molly, sitting in the front row, turned back and gave me a smile. "Hestia, have you finished your homework?" In my past life, she stayed in the most expensive suite at my family's place. My mom specifically upgraded her to it, saying a girl should stay somewhere comfortable. And that wasn't all. She had 3 days of free breakfast later when people came after me online. She didn't say a word. Ich glänze her, and didn't respond. When Molly saw that I wasn't saying anything, she didn't mind, and turned back to continue chatting with the person next to her. The class monitor, Nora, came over to my desk. "Hestia, you're here." I looked up at her. "Nora, my good friend. We've been desk mates since the first year of high school. I often took her to my place on weekends. My mom would cook her delicious food, and my dad would drive her home. I knew her family didn't have much, so I always rushed to pick up the tab. She mentioned she'd never been to a 5-star hotel, so I took her to my family's hotel to swim and have buffet without letting her spend a cent. I thought we were friends, but she turned out to be the first to start rumors about my family. What's wrong?" Nora tilted her head to look at me, a hint of confusion in her eyes. "You look a bit pale. Didn't you sleep well?" "I'm fine." My voice was flat. Nora sat down next to me, put her bag away, then naturally leaned in and lowered her voice. "Hestia, where are you staying for the college entrance exam?" In my past life, this was where it all started. "I'm staying at my own family's hotel," I said. Nora's eyes lit up. "That's great. Your hotel is only 5 minutes from the exam center. You won't even have to wake up early. I'm so jealous. You don't have to spend a thing. Didn't the school arrange accommodations? Just stay at the school then." Nora paused, clearly not expecting me to say that. "But it's so far from school." Nora frowned. "The school is on the east side of the city, and the exam site is on the west side. If we go in the morning, I'd lose at least an hour of sleep." "An hour? Come on. It's the college entrance exam. Do you think you'll be in the same mental state after an hour or less of sleep? She said it very seriously. Then you can go to bed early, I said. Nora choked on her words. She gave me a look, something I couldn't quite name in her eyes. But she bit her lip. If there's a better option, why settle for less? Your family's hotel is only 5 minutes from the exam hall. It'd be great if everyone could stay there. We're all classmates. We should help each other out. Too. Let's help each other out. I know that line all too well. In my past life, those very words made me feel like I should help. I'm the class president's best friend, and my family owns a hotel. Why wouldn't I help? So, I did. And then, the class bell rang. Without answering Nora, I stood up and walked to the other side of the podium with my textbook. I found an empty seat in the back and sat down. Nora glanced back at me. I looked down and opened my textbook. The Chinese teacher walked in and started explaining the key points for writing the essay. I didn't absorb a single word. My mind completely filled with those images. Anger and resentment burned like two fires in my chest for the entire morning. Every time I looked up and saw those familiar faces, I remember their silence on line 50. Faces. I looked at each one by one and made a mental note of every single person. No one stepped forward. The bell for the end of morning classes rang, and the classroom instantly erupted into a frenzy of noise. Some were packing their bags, some were making plans to head to the canteen, and others were discussing what would be on the afternoon exam. I took my time packing my things, in no hurry to leave. Sure enough, the complaints began. So annoying. The school arranged accommodation in the east side of the city, but the exam venue is in the west. We have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's a whole hour less of sleep. The speaker was Silas, a boy sitting in the third row. He slung his backpack over his shoulder with a laugh that echoed through the entire classroom. Exactly. And someone in the dorm snores. I already have trouble falling asleep. If I can't rest well before the college entrance exam, how am I supposed to perform? Sienna chimed in. She's known in our class for being a light sleeper. During last spring's trip, she complained all night about the air conditioner noise from the next room. If only I could have a room to myself. Quiet. And I could sleep whenever I want. Hal leaned back in his chair, legs crossed. No kidding. Tinsley slammed her textbook down on the desk. The problem is most of the hotels nearby are too far. Even a taxi ride takes over 10 minutes. And traffic is bound to be bad on the 2 days of the college entrance exams. What if we're late? If only there were a hotel near the school. Exactly. If only there were a hotel right next to the exam venue. When you could get to in 5 minutes. As they talked, their gazes began to drift, almost in unison, toward me. I kept my head down, pretending to pack my school bag, but I knew they were watching me, pretending not to hear. I zipped up my bag and walked out through the side aisle. 3. A murmur of whispers rose behind me, but I didn't look back. As I stepped out of the classroom, I heard Molly say, "What's wrong with Hestia today? She looks terrible. Didn't she sleep well?" Then came Nora's voice, soft and gentle. "Maybe it's the pressure from the upcoming college entrance exams. Listen to that. So understanding." The corner of my mouth twitched, and I quickened my pace downstairs. The cafeteria was crowded. I got my food and found a corner to sit in. Eating alone felt a bit strange. I used to eat with Nora, just the two of us, sitting face to face, chatting while we ate, as if we had endless things to say. Thinking back, how much of all that endless chatter was her laying the groundwork? And how much was her scheming? I took a bite of rice and chewed it a couple of times. It was BL and, in my past life, when did I start being nice to my classmates? It was probably at the sports meet in the first year of high school. I brought some homemade snacks to share with everyone, and they all said it was delicious. That feeling of being liked by was so intoxicating that I began habitually being nice to everyone, treating people to meals, giving birthday gifts, buying coffee for everyone before exams, and taking classmates to my place on weekends. My parents never stopped me. In fact, they were very supportive, saying that classmates should help each other. And that's exactly why they now take it for granted that I should help them again this time. But here's the problem. I've always been the one helping, and no one has ever helped me in return. After 3 years of helping, I haven't even gotten a single fair word in return. After dinner, I cleared my tray and took out my phone to call my mom. The phone rang twice before she picked up, her voice warm and soft. Hestia, have you eaten? Yes, I've eaten. Mom. Leaning against the pillar in the cafeteria, I lowered my voice. I wanted to ask, have the rooms in our hotel been booked for the days of the college entrance exam? They're all booked, my mom said in a light tone. You have no idea. As soon as the booking window opened, they were gone. All 50 rooms are taken. A lot of people even called to ask. I told your dad maybe we should free up the staff dorms. But he said no. We shouldn't affect the employees' rest. All 50 rooms have been booked. I was taken aback for a moment, then couldn't help but laugh. In my previous life, those 50 rooms were offered to classmates for free. In this life, every single one has been booked at full price. Not a single room left. What's wrong? Hestia, my mom asked. Are your classmates going to stay? If so, I'll try to coordinate and see if anyone's canceled their booking. No need, Mom. Don't save any rooms for them. Not a single one. My mom paused for a couple of seconds, probably processing what I just said. After all, no one knew better than her how I usually treated my classmates over the past 3 years. Me suddenly saying not to save them any rooms must have struck her as odd. Are you really sure you don't need it? She confirmed. Really? I don't. For all right, then, my mom said without pressing further. Study hard, but don't overdo it. After your exams, I'll take you out for a nice meal. Okay. After hanging up, I stood outside the cafeteria entrance and soaked up some sun for a while. I let out a deep breath, then turned and walked back into the classroom. About 10 or 15 minutes later, the front door of the classroom was pushed open. I looked up and saw Nora walk in, followed by Silas and Hal. Nora went straight up to the podium. Wake up, everyone. I have something to say. One by one, those who had been resting their heads on their desks looked up, dazed, and turned their gaze toward her. Let me tell you something. Everyone. Nora stood at the front of the classroom. About the accommodation for the college entrance exam, she said. I just want to talk to our homeroom teacher, Mr. Jean, and shared everyone's thoughts with him. She paused and scanned the room. Mr. Jean said that the exam is ultimately your own responsibility as long as you show up to the test center on time. The school doesn't care where you stay. If you want to book a hotel, you can make your own arrangements. The moment she finished, the classroom buzzed with chatter. Some people's eyes lit up. Others began whispering to each other, and a few wore expressions of visible relief. But Nora shifted her tone, now sounding a bit troubled. As you all know, hotels near exam centers are pretty expensive. The cheapest ones start at over $300 a night, and those are the rundown little inns with poor conditions. If you want something a bit better, you're looking at $500 or more, but even those are still 2 or 3 kilometers away. After saying this, her gaze naturally drifted in my direction. It wasn't just her. Everyone in the classroom turned to look at me. I was lying on my desk, chin resting on my arm, watching her expressionlessly. The Hestia's on a hotel, Nora said with a smile. And it's right next to the exam center. Just a 5-minute walk. Everyone knows the Hestia's hotel is 5-star, with great amenities, over 1,000, and a night. She paused for a moment. The classroom fell silent for a couple of seconds, and the atmosphere grew a bit awkward. A flicker of barely perceptible embarrassment crossed Nora's face, but it was quickly masked by a smile. This is what I was thinking. Her voice softened slightly. No one wants to sleep poorly during the college entrance exams. If we can have better conditions, who wouldn't want that? Hestia's family is so wealthy. There are only 50 of us in the class. Staying for 2 nights probably wouldn't be a big deal for them. Right. Exactly. Molly was the first to chime in, leaning forward from her seat. Hestia, your family's hotel is so close to the exam site. Staying for 2 nights won't cost you anything. We're all classmates, so let's help each other out. That's right. Silas added. Hestia, you're always so nice to everyone. Help us out this time. 2. It's the college entrance exam. You wouldn't want us to mess it up just because we didn't sleep well, would you? Hal chimed in as well. Yeah. Hestia, It's not like your family is short on cash. Just think of it as doing a good deed. Everyone will remember how kind you were. You're the best. Hestia, just talk to your parents about it. Okay. It's just sitting empty anyway. Might as well let your classmates stay there. It's not like we'd be staying for free. We can help spread the word. And leave great reviews for the hotel. Exactly. We can help promote your family's hotel online. Words flew one after another. Everyone chipping in at once. Listening to all this, the corners of my mouth slowly curled up. I slowly straightened up from the desk. The classroom gradually fell silent, everyone waiting for my answer. Nora stood at the podium, tilting her head slightly as she looked at me, that gentle smile still on her lips. I looked at that face, at that gentle smile, and finally spoke. Sorry, our hotel is fully booked. 5. The classroom fell silent for a moment. Then it exploded. Fully booked? How is that possible? Rooms for the college entrance exam dates usually get booked up a month in advance. That's pretty normal. But we haven't placed the order yet. You never said you wanted to place an order. I said calmly. Nora's smile froze on her face. She opened her mouth as if to speak, then closed it again. There was something in her eyes that I had never seen before. Hestia. She stepped down from the podium and walked over to my desk, lowering her voice until only I could hear her. Why didn't you say so earlier? I've been going on about this to the class. I looked up at her, my eyes as calm as still water. You didn't ask me. Nora's expression shifted from annoyance into something she couldn't quite name. Her eyes were slightly red, and her lips pressed into a thin line as if she were about to cry. Hestia, do you have a problem with me? Her voice trembled slightly. I feel like you've been avoiding me all day. No, you're overthinking it. Then why did you sit in the back? Don't you always sit next to me? The front row is too noisy. Nora froze, her entire body going stiff. She stared at me for a few seconds, then turned and walked back to her seat without a word or a backward glance. The other students in the classroom were still buzzing with chatter. I laid my head back down on the desk and buried my face in my arms. My eyes felt a little warm, but I wasn't about to let anyone see. The first class in the afternoon was math. I forced myself to focus and pay attention. In my previous life, I had already experienced the college entrance exam once, so these concepts weren't unfamiliar to me. Still, I couldn't afford to be careless in this life. I want to do well, not to prove anything to anyone, but for myself. I don't want to ruin my future because of someone else's mistakes, the way I did last time. During the break, Nora didn't speak to me. She sat in her seat, head down, flipping through her textbook. She exchanged a few soft words with the classmate next to her as if deliberately keeping her distance. I don't really care. Either the last class before dismissal was self-study, and our homeroom teacher, Mr. Zhang, walked in. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s with thinning hair, thick glasses, and a slow, deliberate way of speaking. Class, regarding accommodation for the college entrance exams. Nora came to see me this afternoon. Standing at the podium, Mr. Zhang adjusted his glasses. My take is this. Where you stay is your choice as long as you're not late. But there's one thing I want to remind you of. Don't cause trouble for your classmates. As he said this, his gaze casually swept over me. I lowered my eyes, pretending to look at the exam paper. Hestia's family runs a hotel, but that's their private matter. Don't put pressure on her. You're all 18 now. Time to be mature. The classroom fell silent for a few seconds. Then I heard Molly mutter under her breath. We weren't even saying anything. Mr. Zhang ignored her and continued going over the key points for the college entrance exam, staring at deliberately asked on the test paper. My heart was a mix of emotions. Mr. Zhang was a good teacher. In my previous life, he had also spoken up for me when the online harassment was at its worst. He said in the class group chat, "From what I know, Hestia's hotel hasn't had any construction noise." But his words were quickly drowned out. No one listened to him. No one believed him when the dismissal bell rang. I packed my things and got ready to leave. Suddenly, Nora stood up, walked to the podium, and picked up the blackboard eraser. She glanced back at me. On the way home, I sat on the bus watching the street scene slowly recede outside the window. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Mom. "Hestia, the person who booked the hotel today, called to say their plans have changed. They canceled 5 rooms. If your classmates need any, just let me know. I stared at the message for a long time in silence. I typed a few words, deleted them, repeated this several times, and finally replied with just one character. Okay. 6 the next morning. I went to school as usual. As I approached the school gate, I saw a crowd gathered in front of the bulletin board, craning to see what was posted. I moved closer and noticed a large H handwritten poster taped to the board. College entrance exam study group. Seeking accommodation. The H and writing is beautiful. Clearly Nora's. She made a table below saying that anyone who needs accommodation can sign up here. And she'll help coordinate everything. Coordinate what? Which family's hotel? I glanced at it, and then walked past without stopping. When I entered the classroom, Nora was already there sitting in her seat, and talking with Molly. She looked up when she saw me come in, gave me a quick glance, then lowered her head again, and continued talking to Molly. I've already contacted several hotels, and negotiated a group rate, about 40% off the original price. But the ones closest to the test center aren't willing to lower their prices at all. Since they have no trouble selling out, Molly said with a worried look. Even 40% off is still expensive. A 300 yuan room at 40% off comes to over 200, and 2 nights would be more than 500. My parents would never agree to that. There's no other choice, though. Nora sighed. We can't exactly sleep on the street. I went straight to the back row and sat down. The view from this spot was great. I could see the entire classroom, and through the window, the plane trees on the playground. Nora glanced back at me, then turned around again. The morning classes were uneventful. Everything felt perfectly normal. The only unusual thing was that several people came to see me during break. First came Molly. Hestia. She stood by my desk, munching on a bag of chips as she spoke. Is your hotel really fully booked? I heard someone canceled 5 rooms yesterday. Is that true? Word sure travels fast. No idea. Didn't ask. Molly pursed her lips. How could you not know? It's your family's hotel. My parents are handling that. I just focus on my studies. Molly choked on my words a little, holding a half-eaten potato chip in her mouth. Her expression a bit awkward. She stood there for 2 seconds, then turned and walked away. Then it was Silas's turn. Hestia. He leaned against the wall. Hands in his pockets, looking completely at ease. I was wondering, could you save one of those 5 canceled rooms at your hotel for me? I'm happy to pay. No need to give it for free. Just set one aside for me. I looked up at him. Silas. A guy from a well-off family who always wears designer clothes. It's not that he can't afford a hotel. He wants the best hotel for the least money. You can just book it at the front desk. Or book it online. Online is expensive, Silas said with a smile. I was just hoping to pull a few strings. You're the owner's daughter. You can give me a discount. Right. Sorry. I don't have the authority to make that decision. Silas' smile faded a bit. He looked at me for 2 seconds, said, all right, and then left. Next came Hal, Tinsley, and Sienna one after another. Their reasons varied, but the core request was the same. Can you make it cheaper? Can you hold a room? Can you help out? I didn't agree to a single one. At lunch, I sat alone in the corner of the cafeteria with a plate of braised pork ribs and a bowl of seaweed egg drop soup in front of me. The spare ribs were so tender they melted in the mouth. But I didn't have much of an appetite. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Dad calling. Hestia. My father's voice sounded a little hoarse. Your mom said someone checked out yesterday. Does your classmate need the room? If so, your dad can hold it for them. No need, Dad, I said, picking up a rib and chewing slowly. Just go ahead and sell it. Really? Sure. My dad asked again. What if your classmate has nowhere to stay, and it affects their college entrance exam? You're all classmates. Help if you can. 7. Help whenever you can. That's just how my dad is. Always kind to others. Never imagining that someone might be utterly ungrateful. In his past life, he gave all the best rooms to my classmates and moved into the staff dorm himself. And what did he get in return? The hotel was reported and shut down overnight. His hair turned completely white. He was already in his 50s. Dad, they've already found a place to stay. Don't worry about it. That's good. That's good, my dad said with relief. Make sure you study hard, and after your exams, Dad will take you out for a great meal. Okay. After hanging up, I finished the rest of my meal and tipped my tray to the sink. By the sink, I ran into a girl from the neighboring class. She didn't know me, but I knew her. In her past life, she was one of the few people who spoke up for me online. What did she say again? Something like, I'm from the other class. I stayed at that hotel during the college entrance exams and didn't hear any construction noise. Then she got hundreds of hateful replies. They said she'd been bought, that she was lying through her teeth, and that she was an astroturfer hired by the hotel. A girl who was only a high school sophomore bullied into deleting her account. I rinsed my plate clean, put it on the rack, and turned back to the classroom. The first class in the afternoon was English, and I paid fairly close attention. In my previous life, I did well on the English exam. But in this life, I'm going to do even better. Not for anyone else. For myself. During the break, Nora stepped up to the podium again. Everyone, I have something to tell you. Her voice sounded more confident than yesterday, as if she were announcing something momentous. Of the hotels I contacted yesterday, one is willing to give us a 50% discount, but it's a bit far from the exam venue. About a 20-minute taxi ride. A collective groan echoed through the classroom. 20 minutes? That's way too far. How much would the taxi fare be? 2 round trips, plus the accommodation costs. We might as well just stay at the school. Exactly. And traffic is bound to be heavy on the day of the college entrance exam. A 20-minute drive could easily turn into an hour-long crawl. Nora waited for everyone to quiet down before continuing. I agree it's a bit far, so I reached out to another place. It's only 10 minutes from the test center, but it's more expensive. Over $400 a night after the discount. $400 a night? That's $900 for 2 nights. Too expensive. Forget it. I'll just stay at the school. Same here. Staying at the school saves money. And trouble. One by one, everyone gave up. Standing at the podium. Nora's expression grew subtle. Her gaze drifted toward me again, as if expecting me to say something. I didn't say anything. I kept my head down, working on my English test paper. The pen tip scratching softly against the page. Nora stood there for a few seconds, then walked down from the podium and returned to her seat. Before school let out, our homeroom teacher, Mr. Zhang, came by again, standing at the podium. He went over the college entrance exam instructions once more, and finally brought up the matter of accommodation. I've heard that some of you are making arrangements to stay in hotels. Mr. Zhang's tone was neither warm nor cold. Let me say this again. Where you stay is your own choice. But don't cause trouble for others. Especially don't cause trouble for your classmates' families. Their hotel is a business, not a charity. After saying this, he shot a pointed glance at Nora. Nora kept her head down, her bangs covering half her face, making her expression hard to read. After Mr. Zhang left, the classroom was quiet for a few seconds. Then Molly's voice rang out. Not loud, but loud enough for everyone to hear. The teacher makes it sound like we forced Hestia into something. We just asked. That's all. It's not like we did anything wrong. Exactly. Sienna chimed in. Besides, the Hestias are so rich. What's the big deal if they help out? It's not like we're staying for free. We already said we'd help promote the place. Forget it, Tinsley said. We just don't get how rich people think. Maybe she feels we're not good enough to stay at her family's hotel. 8. That was a bit harsh. The classroom fell silent for a moment, sitting in the last row. I took in every word. My fingers gripped the pen so tightly that my knuckles turned white. Not worthy of staying at her family's hotel. I set the pen down, took a deep breath, then stood up, grabbed my backpack, and walked out of the classroom. A faint murmur of voices came from behind me, but I didn't look back. As I walked out of the school gate, I spotted a familiar figure. Mr. Zhang was standing at the entrance, chatting with the security guard. Seeing me come out, he waved me over. Hestia, come here for a moment. I walked over and stood in front of him. Teacher Zhang looked at me, adjusted his glasses, and paused for 2 seconds before speaking. Are you okay? I was taken aback for a moment, then nodded. I'm fine. Don't listen to their nonsense. Teacher Zhang's voice was quiet, but earnest. Whether your family runs a hotel is your family's business, and it has nothing to do with your classmates. Helping them is a favor. Not helping them is your right. No one has the right to judge you. My nose suddenly stung a little, so I quickly lowered my head. Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Go on back. Study hard, and don't let this affect you. I nodded and turned to leave. After about a dozen steps, I heard Mr. Zhang sigh behind me and say to the security guard, "How have children today ended up like this?" I didn't catch what the security guard said, but I figured he was probably just agreeing. On the way home, I sat on the bus, put my earphones in, and randomly played a song. The music was so loud that it drowned out every sound inside the bus. School let out 3 days before the college entrance exam. As I packed up and walked out of the classroom, I looked back over my shoulder. The countdown on the blackboard read, 3 days until the exam. The chalk letters, all crooked, written by the student on duty that morning. The desks and chairs had been tossed into complete disarray with various study materials and used scratch paper scattered across the floor. I'm never coming back to this classroom again. I slung my backpack over my shoulder and walked out of the school gate. The sunlight felt warm and pleasant on my face. My phone buzzed with a message from Mom. "Hestia, the 5 hotel checkouts have all been sold at full price. Not a single one left." Street ending at the school gate. I typed a few words, deleted them, and finally replied with just one character. "Okay." Just as I tucked my phone into my pocket, I heard hurried footsteps behind me. "Hestia." I turned around and saw Nora jogging up to catch me. She was wearing a white hoodie, her hair tied back in a ponytail, with a thin layer of sweat on her face. She looked a bit anxious, nearly tripping as she ran. She stopped about 2 steps away from me, bent over, and caught her breath. "Why are you walking so fast? I called out to you several times, but you didn't hear me." There was a hint of complaint in her voice. "I didn't hear you," I said. Nora straightened up, glanced at me, and then bit her lip. "Hestia, I'd like to talk with you." "About what?" "We're at least desk mates and friends. You've been avoiding me for days, and it really hurts." Her eyes were red as she said this, her voice trembling slightly. She genuinely seemed upset. I looked at her and suddenly found it ridiculous. In my past life, when my family's hotel was reported and shut down, she cried even harder in front of the camera. "Nora, I'm not avoiding you." "Then why did you move to the back row? Why won't you eat with me anymore? Why won't you give me a straight answer when I ask about the hotel?" 9. She fired off 3 questions in a row, each one laced with hurt. I looked at her face, the face I'd seen for 3 years. Beautiful, gentle, and understanding. Every time I failed an exam, she was always the first to comfort me. Every time I was sick and missed class, she'd copy the notes for me and bring them to my home. The friendship between us, in my eyes, was the kind that could last a lifetime. Yet this was the very person who destroyed my home with his own hands. "Nora," I began, my voice calm. "I already told you about the hotel. It's fully booked. You asked me directly, and I gave you my answer. It's booked. If you don't believe me, what else can I do?" Nora froze for a moment, her lips parting as if to speak, but no words came out. As for me moving to the back seat, I continued, "It's too noisy in the front row, and I want to review in peace. As for meals, I'd like to eat alone. Do I need to report all of this to you?" Nora's face went pale. "Hestia, that's not what I meant." Just what?" I cut her off. "Just because my family has money, we should give you 50 rooms for free. Just because I'm your friend, I should fix everything for you. And if I don't, that makes me stingy, selfish, and unworthy of being your friend." Nora took a step back, and the tears in her eyes finally fell. "I didn't mean it like that. I really didn't." "You didn't? Then what did you tell the other students?" My voice rose slightly without meaning to. "You stood at the podium and told the whole class that my family's hotel is right next to the exam venue, that my family is rich, and that staying for 2 nights is nothing to us. How many times have I helped you guys? When have you ever helped me?" Nora's tears fell even harder. She wiped them away with the back of her and her shoulders shaking. "Hestia, I really didn't mean it like that. I was just trying to find a convenient place for everyone to stay. I didn't mean anything else. Why did you have to bring up my family just to find everyone a convenient place to stay because your place is the closest? So what? Does that mean I should just do it for free? Nora fell silent, tears streaming down her face. A few classmates passing by on the side of the road slowed down when they saw us talking, their eyes darting back and forth between us. Ignoring them, I hitched my backpack higher on my shoulder and turned to walk away. Hestia, Nora called out from behind me. I didn't look back. When I got home, Mom was cooking in the kitchen. She was wearing a floral apron, her hair casually tied back, a smile on her face. She's always like that, no matter how busy or tired she is. She smiles when she sees me. Hestia, you're back. Go wash your hands. I made your favorite spare rib soup. I changed my shoes, walked into the kitchen, and gave her a hug from behind, caught off guard by my sudden embrace. Mom nearly dropped the spatula into the pot. What's wrong? Nothing. I just wanted to hug you. My mom smiled and reached out to pat the back of my and. All right. Go wash your hands. The soup is almost ready. I let go of her, went to the bathroom to wash my hands, and sat down at the table. My dad came out of his study holding a stack of documents with reading glasses perched on his nose. Hestia, I'll drive you to the exam hall on the 2 days of the college entrance exam. No need. Dad, I can go by myself. It's not far. That won't do. The college entrance exam is such a big deal. I have to take you. My dad set the documents down on the table, took off his reading glasses, and looked at me with pure affection in his eyes. Looking at his face, I thought of how he had looked with a full head of white hair in my previous life, and my eyes instantly welled up. What's wrong? My mother was walking out of the kitchen, carrying a bowl of soup when she saw the look on my face, and jumped in surprise. Hestia, what's wrong? Nothing, I said, lowering my head and blinking hard a few times. It's the chili. It's spicy. My mother glanced at the untouched dishes on the table, paused for a couple of seconds, and chose not to call me out during the meal. My father brought up the hotel matter again. Hestia, does your classmate really not need a room? The 2 days of the college entrance exam are bound to be stressful. If she stays too far away and doesn't rest well, that could hurt her performance, and that would be a real problem. I put a piece of spare rib into my mouth and chewed slowly, not answering right away. That's just how my dad is, always thinking of others. His whole life, in over a decade of running the hotel, he never once kicked out a guest who couldn't pay the bill. One year, when a snowstorm closed the highway, hundreds of STR&E travelers came down from the road. Every other hotel in the area raised its prices, but my family's hotel kept a regular rate, and even gave out free hot ginger tea and blankets. The story later made the local news when a reporter came to interview him. My dad just said into the camera, "Everyone has it tough when they're away from home. And yet, a man this good was driven to the edge in his previous life. Dad, they'll handle it themselves. You don't need to worry." My dad was about to say something else when my mom kicked him under the table. "Enough," she said. "If Hestia says it's not necessary, then it's not necessary. Why do you have to meddle so much?" My dad winced from the kick and obediently lowered his head to eat. Watching them, a wave of bitterness welled up inside me. I couldn't protect them in my past life. This time, it's my turn. On the last day before the college entrance exam, I went to school to pick up my admission ticket. A few scattered students sat in the classroom, all making one last desperate effort. Nora wasn't there, and neither was Molly. Only a couple of boys who rarely spoke in class were dozing at their desks. I grabbed my ticket and headed out, running into Mr. Jiang at the door. "Hestia, don't rush to check the answers after the exam. Just get some good rest." "Got it. Thank you, Teacher Jiang. And don't worry about the gossip. Just focus on your exams." I nodded and walked out of the teaching building. On the playground, some were playing basketball, while others lay on the grass, soaking up the sun. Everything felt so normal that it seemed like none of the things from my previous life had ever happened. But I knew they had. I remembered every detail. On the day of the college entrance exam, my dad got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. He wore a red t-shirt, hoping it would bring good luck. My mom also put on a red dress and slipped a red envelope into my backpack, inside which was 66 yuan, symbolizing everything going smoothly. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but I didn't refuse. The exam site was indeed very close to home, just a 5-minute walk away. My dad insisted on seeing me off, and couldn't talk him out of it. I let him. The entrance to the exam hall was packed with people, students, parents, teachers, police officers, and volunteers forming a dense, dark crowd. Some were crying while clutching their admission tickets. Others were laughing in their parents' arms. A few were frantically flipping through notes for one last review. And many were taking deep breaths to calm their nerves. Standing in the crowd, I took a deep breath. College entrance exam. Here I come. The first subject was Chinese. In my previous life, I scored 112. Not bad, but nothing impressive either. This time, I came fully prepared. The essay topic was heritage. I wrote about my family's hotel, about my father, a man who was kind to everyone he met, and about the values he taught me. When I wrote the very last word, my eyes felt a little warm. The second exam was math, my strong subject. In my previous life, I scored 135. This time, I came prepared. I had reviewed every knowledge point and practiced the tricky problems over and over, countless times. When I handed in the paper, I was confident at least 140. Then came English, and after that, the comprehensive humanities test. As I took each exam, I grew more steady and more comfortable. When the bell rang for the final exam, I put down my pen, leaned back in my chair, and let out a long breath. It's over. The college entrance exam is over. When I walked out of the exam hall, the sun was blazing so brightly it stung my eyes. My dad was waiting at the school gate, holding a bouquet of flowers, smiling so wide his eyes crinkled into slits. Hestia, he waved at me, excited as a child. I ran over, took the flowers, and gave him a tight hug. How did the exam go? He asked. Pretty good. That's great. That's great, my dad said, patting me on the back. Come on, I'll take you out for a big feast. My mom appeared from the side, also holding a bouquet. Seeing that I had already hugged my dad for his flowers, she shot him a slightly displeased look. You sure are fast. My dad chuckled twice but didn't dare say anything. I smiled and took the flowers from my mom, putting one arm around her and the other around my dad as the three of us walked toward the car. A few steps later, I saw Nora. She was standing at the exam entrance, surrounded by a few classmates, and she didn't look well. Molly was saying something beside her, but Nora shook her head, her eyes red as if she had been crying. I didn't stop. I just walked past her. She saw me. The moment our eyes met, her expression shifted. Her lips parted slightly, as if she wanted to say something. I didn't give her the chance. 3 days after the college entrance exams ended, the results weren't out yet, but the internet was already buzzing. Posts estimating scores, comparing answers, and venting about the test questions were everywhere. I was at home scrolling through my phone when suddenly, I came across a post. Its title read, "Whatever you do, don't stay at XX Hotel during the 2 days of the exams. The noise is so loud you won't be able to sleep at all." I was taken aback. When I clicked to read more, it turned out they were talking about my family's hotel. The poster's ID was unfamiliar, with a flower as their profile picture, and their registration date showed they had joined just 3 days ago. The post read, "I booked this hotel right before my college entrance exam, but every night after 10 o'clock, there was construction, drilling, and hammering that went on until 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. I called the front desk 3 times to complain, and each time they said they'd handle it, but the noise never stopped. The night before the exam, I only got 3 hours of sleep. My mind was completely foggy during the test the next day. Everyone, steer clear of this place. Don't ever stay here." There were already several comments below the post. "Oh my God, that's way too much. Construction during the college entrance exam period. I've heard of this hotel. I think it's a 5-star. Right. And this is 5-star service. My heart goes out to the OP, Having your college entrance exam messed up like that. I would have been crying my eyes out. File a complaint. Call 12345 to report them. Hotels like this need to be shut down for a cleanup. I stared at the screen, my fingers trembling slightly. 11 in my past life. Nora's post was just like this. She said she was staying at my family's hotel. Couldn't sleep because of the construction noise in the middle of the night. And then bombed the exam the next day. That post only had a few comments at first, but then someone screenshotted it and posted it on Weibo, where it went viral. And after that, things spiraled out of control. In this life, she didn't stay at my family's hotel. All the rooms there were sold to strangers, and she stayed somewhere else. But this post still appeared, only this time. The poster had a different username and a different identity. I took a deep breath and clicked on that user's profile. There was just one post, nothing else. The account followed no one, had no followers, and even the profile picture was the system's default flower icon. A ST bot account. I took a screenshot and sent the post link to my dad. Dad, someone's spreading rumors online that our hotel was doing construction during the college entrance exams. He picked up right away, his voice a bit tense. What? Let me see. About a minute later, my dad called me back. Hestia, I read the post. It's complete nonsense. There wasn't any construction near our hotel during those 2 days of the exams. Even the city halted all public projects. How could there be any noise? I know. It's fake. Dad, don't panic just yet. Not many people have seen this post so far. But if we don't address it, it could easily spread. I'll contact the lawyer right away and have them handle it. Okay. After hanging up, I scrolled back to that post and saw that over a dozen new comments had already been added. Someone started questioning it. I stayed at that same hotel during my college entrance exams and didn't hear any construction noise. Then someone immediately replied, "Are you a paid shill for the hotel? I've seen this kind of PR spin way too many times." Another person said, "Even if there's no construction, posting something like this is still disgusting. Spreading such a rumor during the exams. Aren't you afraid of karma?" I read through them one by one, and the more I read, the calmer I became. In my previous life, when I saw these comments, my whole body trembled. I cried so hard I could barely breathe, and I desperately wanted to rush through the screen to explain myself to everyone who criticized me. This life is different. In this life, I know exactly what to do. I opened the class group chat. After the college entrance exam, the class group chat was as lively as a bustling market with hundreds or even thousands of messages every day. Some were planning graduation trips. Some were arranging thank you dinners for teachers. Others were sharing funny videos. And a few were posting their score estimates. I scrolled back up and saw a message from Nora. So annoyed, I think I bombed the math exam. Couldn't solve the last part of the final question at all. A dozen or so people had replied below, trying to comfort her. I scrolled up further to the day before the college entrance exam. Molly had posted, "Nora, which hotel are you staying at? Is it far from the exam venue?" Nora replied, "We're staying at a Banby. It's about a 15-minute taxi ride from the exam venue. A bit far, but no choice. All the nearby hotels are fully booked." Tinsley replied, "It's all Hestia's fault. Her family runs a hotel, and even though they had rooms, she didn't save any for us. Now everyone's scrambling to find a place to stay." After this message was sent, no one picked up the conversation. A moment later, Molly sent a sighing emoji. Then someone else said, "Forget it. You can't force someone to help if they don't want to." The tone was casual, but beneath that casualness lay an unspoken sense of resentment. I felt nothing as I read these messages. I left the class group chat and opened Weibo. As expected, that post had been reposted to Weibo. The repost came from a marketing account with a modest following of about 50,000 to 60,000. Once reposted, the post was given a sensational headline. "Construction at a 5-star hotel during college entrance exams disturbs residents. Students unable to file complaints get only 3 hours of sleep." The number of shares has already exceeded 500, and the comment section looks much the same as the post itself. Almost everyone is condemning the hotel for being unethical. I took a screenshot and saved it. Then I sent a message to my dad. Dad, the post has been shared on Weibo, and it's already got over 500 shares. My dad replied instantly, I've already contacted a lawyer, and we're gathering evidence. Also, I've asked someone to check the surveillance footage from near the hotel on the days of the college entrance exam to see if any construction vehicles came through. Do you have the footage? Yes. There are 2 cameras right at our hotel entrance facing both sides of a street. I've had someone pull the footage from the 2 days before and 2 days after the exam. It's crystal clear. No construction at all. I breathed a sigh of relief. Dad, don't send it out yet. Wait for the lawyer's opinion. Okay. 12 o'clock, over the next 2 days. The post went viral. More and more aggregator accounts jumped on the bee and wagon using increasingly sensational headlines. Some even went as far as claiming that 5-star hotels were disregarding students' well-being just to make money. The post easily garnered over 1 million views. The comment section has completely gone to ruin. 99% of the tens of thousands of comments are cursing my family's hotel. The call from the Cultural and Tourism Bureau came through to my dad's phone, and the tone was very stern. They said they were coming to investigate. Then the Housing and Urban Rural Development Bureau called saying they were coming to measure the noise levels. Everything was exactly the same as in the previous life. But in this life, what was different was that the guests staying at the hotel didn't remain silent during those 2 days of the college entrance exams. The hotel was filled with strangers. Some were exam takers. Others were parents accompanying their children. One of the exam takers posted a long message on Weibo titled, I'm the student who stayed at that hotel during the college entrance exam, and I want to say a few things. In the post, they wrote, I came from out of town to take the exam and booked this hotel a month in advance. During the 2 days of the exam, I stayed here and didn't hear any construction noise. The service was excellent. The front desk knew I had an exam the next day and specially prepared a box of milk and 2 slices of bread for me, saying it was a free breakfast. I don't know who made that original post, but I can honestly say that I slept well both nights and did just fine on my exam. Please don't ruin a good hotel's reputation without evidence. After this post went up, the comments exploded. Another page shill. How much do they give you? The hotel's astroturfing is everywhere. Accounts only been active for 2 days. Clearly a BR and new sock puppet. 5-star hotels really have money to burn. They even hire such professional astroturfers. That test taker got flamed in hundreds of comments. So furious that he fired back in the replies. I'm not an astroturfer. I'm a guest who actually stayed at this hotel. Believe it or not. Then the attacks got even worse. Watching this farce unfold, I couldn't quite put my finger on what I was feeling. In my past life, not one of those 50 classmates who stayed at my family's hotel spoke up. In this life, a stranger who stayed at my family's hotel spoke up, only to be torn apart as a paid shill. That's just how the internet works. People only believe what they want to believe. They need a villain, a target to vent their anger on. The person who posted the rumor gave them a target, and they didn't hesitate to shoot every arrow they had. As for whether the target is actually bad, no one really cares. The turning point came with an official account called Construction Updates around the college entrance exam venues. It was run by the city's Education Bureau, rarely updated, and had only a few thousand followers. But it sent a message on the 4th day after the college entrance exams ended regarding the recent online rumor that a hotel construction site caused disturbances. During the college entrance exams, our bureau takes the matter very seriously. After investigation, we confirmed that during the exam period, June 7th to June 9th, all construction sites within 2 kilometers of exam venues were ordered to suspend work. The hotel falls within this area, and no construction activity was found nearby. This is the official statement. After the statement was released, public opinion began to shift. Some started questioning the original poster since the authorities say there was no construction. Where did the noise in that post come from? Could it be fake news? Oh my God, making up such a rumor during the college entrance exams. That's just vicious. Come out and say something. Up at Flourishing Summer. The account named Flourishing Summer has vanished. The post is still there, but the original poster has never reappeared. I clicked in and took a look. The comments section had already been overrun. With everyone calling the OP a liar spreading rumors, someone dug up the registration time, an IP address of that account. It was created on the day the college entrance exams ended, and the IP traced back to a residential area in some city. Someone followed that IP address and found out that the residential area was far from the exam venue, nowhere near where that hotel could have been. The more and more people began to question and dig into the truth. In the end, someone uncovered the real identity behind that account. It turned out to be a high school senior from a financially struggling family. After failing the college entrance exam, she broke down emotionally and vented online. It wasn't Nora staring at the result. I was stunned. Not Nora. I scoured every post, every comment, every repost, but Nora's name was nowhere to be found. She hadn't posted, commented, liked, or done anything at all. It was as if she had vanished. The day the college entrance exam results came out, I was at home eating watermelon. The results were released at 3 o'clock midnight. I was already in front of the computer at 2:58. My heart pounding. In my previous life, I scored 561, just above the first-tier university cutoff line. I am different in this life. At 3 o'clock sharp, I refreshed the page. Total score, 643 points. Chinese, 126. Mathematics, 141. English, 138. Comprehensive humanities, 238. I stared at the numbers on the screen for 5 seconds, then let out a scream. Mom, Dad, the results are out. My mom rushed out of the kitchen, her H, and still wet, and her apron covered in grease stains. My dad dashed out of his study, losing one of his slippers along the way. What's the score? 643. 13. My mom was stunned for a moment. Then she hugged me tightly and burst into tears. My father stood beside me, his eyes reddening. His lips trembled several times before he finally managed to say, "Good, good, good." He said good 3 times, each one filled with deep emotion. I hugged my mother, and tears started streaming down my face. 2. In my previous life, I never made them proud. In this one, I did. After the results came out, the class group chat completely exploded. Some rejoiced, others mourned. Screenshots of scores flooded the chat, some showing 680, others barely over 400. Molly scored a 532 and posted a crying emoji in the group chat. Tinsley scored a 509 and said she'd be grateful just to get into a second-tier university. Silas scored a 578, was fairly satisfied, and had already started researching university applications. Hal scored a 541, posted a single sigh, and then went silent. Sienna scored a 498 and left the group chat immediately. I scrolled for a while, but didn't see Nora's score anywhere. She didn't post anything, but someone tagged her in the group chat. "Nora, what score did you get?" "Yeah, Nora, didn't you say you bombed the math test? How bad was it?" "Nora, say something." Nora didn't reply. About 10 minutes later, Molly sent a message in the group chat. I just called Nora, but she didn't answer. A few more minutes passed, and Tinsley said, "I tried calling, too. Her phone's off." The chat went quiet for a while, and then people started guessing. She didn't really bomb the exam, did she? She mentioned earlier that she couldn't figure out the last math question, and got several big problems wrong. Still, no reason to turn off her phone. What score did she actually get? No one knows. I'd like to know, too. Not because I care about her, but because I want to confirm something in her previous life. Nora scored 547. Not particularly bad, but she told everyone she bombed the exam because of the noise from my house. In this life, she didn't stay at my family's hotel. She booked a guest house a 15-minute drive from the exam venue. What score did she get? If she bombs the exam, at least it'll prove it has nothing to do with where she lives. The problem is her. I waited 3 days for this answer. 3 days later, Nora posted a message in the class group. I got 478. The group chat fell completely silent for a full 10 seconds. Then it exploded. What? 478? Nora, come on. You usually score above 550 on your practice tests. What happened? Did you miscalculate your score? Should you request a res score? 478. nearly 70 points lower than in the previous life. I stared at the number, a mix of emotions welling up inside me. She really bombed the exam without the noise from my place, without construction disturbances, without any external factors at all. She still bombed it, but I don't care anymore. I left the class group chat. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was something I'd been thinking about for a long time. I don't need to have any contact with these people anymore. They didn't need my help, and I didn't need their thanks. Between us, we're even. Letting go is more freeing than holding on. That night, lying in bed scrolling through my phone, I suddenly received a private message. It was from Molly. Hestia, why did you leave the group today? I didn't. Reply after a while. She sent another message. I know you have an issue with us, but we've been in the same class for 3 years. Come on. I still didn't respond. A third message came right after. Are you upset about the hotel thing? We were just talking casually back then. It's not like we actually forced you to do anything. I stared at the message, the corner of my mouth twitching. Just idle gossip. You just idly gossiped. And my family's hotel was reported and shut down. You just idly gossiped. And my parents' hair turned gray overnight. You just idly gossiped. And my life was ruined once again. Just idle gossip. Those 4 words are probably the most convenient excuse in the world. I typed a few, then deleted them. Never mind. It's not worth it. I deleted Molly's private message, put my phone on the nightstand, and turned over and closed my eyes. Tomorrow I'm going to visit a university. A university very, very far away. So far that I'll never see those faces again.